The Walmart Corporation, one of the most horrible things that has ever existed in the history of humanity, has now gone on to continue the same kind of thing they've always done. A whistleblower has come forward detailing how the company avoided taxes on $2 billion worth of profits. Now, of course, the largest corporations in America paying any tax, avoiding paying taxes, is really nothing new. I mean, this is literally how they operate. But what's interesting is that this whistleblower shows exactly how it was done, and that it was all perfectly legal. This isn't tax evasion, this is classified as tax avoidance. Avoidance is legal, evasion is not. Now, this was a former Walmart executive to the filed the according to the whistleblower documents filed by a former Walmart executive of the Internal Revenue Service in 2011. This was recently obtained by an investigation and also the whistleblower coming forth by Quartz. The firm avoided nearly $200 million in taxes on money and drastically overstated its foreign tax credits in 2009 and 2010 by routing payments from the Luxembourg to the United States via the United Kingdom and not declaring them that they came from a tax haven, which is what the whistleblower argues. Walmart denied any wrongdoing. The transactions brought to our attention were appropriately reported to and audited by the IRS, a spokesman said in an emailed statement. The tax years covering this matter were closed by the IRS more than 7 years ago. What the spokesperson failed to tell us was that whether or not the company explicitly told the IRS that the money had actually originated in Luxembourg rather than the United Kingdom, which is the crux of the criticism that's being labeled towards the company. In September, Quartz obtained files showing the firm may owe up to $2.6 billion in U.S. taxes, avoided by creating a fictitious Chinese entity. And in 2015, a report by the Americans for Tax Fairness alleged that Walmart had placed assets worth at least $76 billion in tax havens where it had no retail stores, a figure equally 37% of the company's total assets at the time. Walmart has contested both reports. Now, the IRS knows, or at least according to their estimates, that U.S. multinationals hold about $1 trillion offshore in about 2017. This is what the Federal Reserve says. Giants such as Apple and Microsoft brazenly, but legally, it's all perfectly legal. Those tax loopholes exist for a reason. They booked the profits in havens like Ireland, and Walmart's international revenue reached $501 billion in 2018, and this topped the Fortune Global 500 every year since 2014. And his family, the Waltons, are reportedly the richest family in the entire world, and said to have added $100 million per day to their $191 billion fortune. It is amazing that there's always this loophole to get out of having to contribute to society. Every one of them screaming up and down that, you have to, you just don't want to work. You don't want to have to contribute to society. You don't want to get a job. When these people have done nothing but plunder the world. And when we consider this occurs in the context of imperialism, they've plundered the entire world. And refuse to contribute to the country in even the slightest way, despite all of them screaming that anybody who doesn't have a job just simply doesn't want to work and doesn't want to have to contribute. Well, these people fleece the country in numbers that maybe even 1 billion unemployed people couldn't have done. It's astronomical, the hypocrisy of these companies. And it's never enough. The family's worth $191 billion, and it's not enough for them. It always has to be more. And that's part of capitalism. Money isn't even a means to an end. Money is a means to its own end. It takes on a life of its own, and we can go into everything about Marxist theory, about the market and the law of value, etc. But you, my audience, already know that. I don't have to tell you that. But it's amazing how this kind of almost psychotic drive of greed just has no end. it's never enough. It's mind-blowing when you really look at it. And then we already know this the way it is. But often it almost becomes an abstract concept until you look at it in actual numbers, and it reminds you about how serious this is and how god awfully evil the whole thing is. The United States is falling apart by the day. Infrastructure's failing, social services are failing, everything is failing. People are going poor, the wealth divide is getting completely out of control, and they cannot see the writing on the wall. They refuse to look. They're almost illiterate at this point. And it's furious, and really speaks to the nature of capitalism, how fast it will drive itself into its own extinction. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.